we're going to talk about the 12-week challenge and the 2020 business plan. But the follow-up is that you do the work that's going to be involved to take your business to the next level. The training is just the kind of the catalyst to get the process started, right? So we talked about this on our last webinar in December. And even if this is your very first time looking at the 12-week year, this is an effective book. I would recommend buying the book and reading the book. But you don't have to read the book or buy the book or do anything to be part of our program. Because what I had developed over the course of a lot of trial and error, we went through about 5 or 6 12-week sessions already. There's been several groups of us that have already tested this out. And what we came up with were about 6 different numbers that you need to measure that are the most important numbers to measure in your business. So you're going to have other goals that you're going to set. You may want to have other emphasis, but for this purpose, in our 12-week year, we are going to have a coordinated effort between webinar, between the office meetings, where every week we're focused on these same 6 numbers to kind of help our business go to the next level. And really just a little bit of background. I won't spend much on it, but the challenge that we face is that most of us, when we've created business plans, at least for the first 20 years of my career, we did 1-year goals. And the challenge with 1-year goals is that there's no sense of urgency when it's too late. When you set a goal that's, December is when you're going to be accountable, there's not a lot of urgency in January to get anything going. And what happens is that lack of urgency spills into February, March, and then by the time we get halfway through the year, that's when we realize that we'll probably never hit our goal. Because there's no magic event that's going to happen this year. There's no magic point. There's nothing. I mean, yes, we'll have strategic events and tools that'll be unveiled, but you have all that you need right now. And so it really needs to change is the way we look at our goals, right? And that's what they talk about, is that instead of setting a 12-month goal, set a 12-week goal. So now that we begin to look at each week like we would normally look at a month. Now, why a month is significant is that I've seen this phenomenon my entire career, is that you essentially have a sense of urgency that you create at the end of the month because people want to perform. You know the month end is coming, so we see it in the car business, we see it in retail business. Well, it also applies in the financial services industry, the mortgage industry, in real estate. The end of the month is where all the urgency happens. But why the end of the month all the urgency happens is because you're being measured at the end of the month. It's a specific deadline that you're going to be held accountable for in whatever that profession is. So what Mr. Moran figured out is that if we took that accountability and we compressed it from every month to every week, no, it's intense, but it's intended for you to quadruple your results. Because if you can do what you used to do in 12 months and 12 weeks, and there's 4 12-week cycles in a year with a 1-week evaluation period in between, essentially, what are you willing to invest to have 400% growth in your business or 400% growth in anything, right? Well, that accountability would have to be in place. That deadline would have to be in place. And so the last thing is to share your 12-week goal with business partners and those close to you personally. Because a lot of times when we set goals, if nobody knows about them, there's no accountability. We feel that if you share your goals with others, if you tell others what your goals are, you're going to be more committed because you're going to feel more pressure to hit it. So again, this 12-week year is for those of you who are really ready to have a different 2020 than 2019. You're looking for something a little bit more intense, and you're looking for something that's specific and measurable. And we're going to give you those specific measurables. And I know a lot of you have already done these goals, but we're going to go through them one more time today because this is really week 1 of our 12-week year. And then one final thing is that you've got to always have those goals in front of you. You got to read those goals at the beginning of each day, connect with what it would be like to hit that goal. And then I think this is important is that you plan a celebration. Look, if you're going to be making sacrifices, if you're going to be getting goals, if you're going to be accountable, then you've got to, if you hit your goal, you should have a mini celebration every time you hit that goal. But by the same token, if you don't hit your goal, double down on the activity, double down on the work. Don't celebrate anyways and say, well, I was close enough. No, hold yourself accountable. And then if you hit the big goal, let everybody in the family know what the goal is going to be and what's going to be the reward that everybody gets to share in, because there is shared sacrifice in doing something like this. Not just for those of you that are doing it, but if you have a family, it definitely is going to apply to the family. So I hope you guys can see the screen here as I continue to show this. There are, again, those 6 numbers that we're going to measure. Number 1 is new contacts completed. Now, this is critical because this is the first measure that's going to drive everything else. And that's really all that we're going to take today to talk about. The other numbers I'm going to gloss over. We are going to focus on the thing that drives everything is getting the word out. However you want to call it, a contact. The bottom line is you're getting your information out to the world, whether it's through the webinar idea that Shante just shared with you, whether it's through the campaign manager that you might utilize, or what I'm going to talk about here is utilizing the How Money Works book, right? Workshops, videos, emails. This measure is the one that drives everything else, because that's going to lead to follow-ups. But then again, what's the dynamic of getting a follow-up, and then what does a follow-up look like? Well, we've already documented it, videoed it, put it online. You can see exactly what a follow-up looks like. Then we're going to measure new members, right? One of the things that makes us different is that we allow you to scale and build your own business by yourself or with a team. That's a big deal. Most companies don't allow that. So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about solutions. What does it look like to put together a plan? And then finally, how do we measure our revenue? It's through a concept called net points. And then how many people are on board following the program with us? So how big is our scalability at the moment? So these are the 6 numbers that we really want to measure and really deeply understand. These are the metrics that are going to drive everything in your business. These are the things that if you have a mastery of these 6 things, you pretty much have a mastery of really knowing what you need to do. And what you're going to figure out is that if you apply more energy into number 1, everything else takes care of itself. So number 1 is the most important thing, right? And so one of the things that we talked about was having this worksheet, right? And I'll give you an example of what this worksheet looks like. And we have this, we posted this, we can make this available, is I want to set a goal for myself for those 12 weeks in these 6 specific areas. So what I wanted to do is first is I want to set an overall goal. The main thing is that everybody's got to know what the main thing is. And to me, there's no better accountability than setting an income goal. I like every one of you to set a specific cash flow goal at the end of these 12 weeks, exactly what you want to earn. In this case, we had set in this sample $15,000. We know that to achieve the $15,000 in income, we're going to focus on getting 3 new licensed associates in the organization, bring in 3 new members into our agency, and then on a monthly basis, what that means is that I have to personally generate about $10,000 in personal points, which is just $10,000 in gross or net revenue. So if that's my goals, if that is my goal, then I want to break that goal down, not just from a month, but I want to break it down week by week. So if you look at my number here, 10,000 is simply just over 4 weeks, it's 2,500 a week. It's a lot. It's easy to focus on the 10,000, and what most people would do is they wouldn't do much the first 3 weeks, and then they try to spend the last week 4 getting the 10,000 done. But if I really want to be accountable and I really want to measure my activity and I really want to make a change, I really should focus on dividing that number by week. So I just take whatever my goal is, divide it by 4 for that month, it's 2,500 a week. Well, in order for me to generate 2,500, I know it's probably about 1 or 2 solutions roughly every single week. If I can help 1 or 2 families a week, I know I'm going to do about 2,500. Okay. Well, in order for me to do that, I probably want to be focused on growing my business, about 1 new associate a week. Yours might be different than that. It might be 1 a month. Mine is 1 a week. But I know that if that's going to happen, in order for Angelo to get these 2 tangible numbers to drive this number, I know I need to have 5 face-to-face follow-ups. Well, in order to have 5 face-to-face follow-ups, that means I've got to make, in my ratio, it's 10. If I get out there, if I make 10 contacts this week, I know I will easily can get 5 people to see me next week. And for me, the result will be probably about 2 results that will result in 2,500 points. And then I have to ask myself, how many of those people, let's say maybe I want to have 3 of those people attending with me every week. And then I want to show that. And that's how you set these goals up. So hopefully you've seen this, you've done the worksheets, you've gone through, and I want you to understand something about these goals. These goals are different for everybody, okay? My ratio may not be the same for you, but the important thing is that you set the cash flow goal. If you're new, you may not understand how I get to all of these different things, but what you can do is you can get with your trainer, you can get with the person who's training you and say, okay, I want to make, yesterday I was working with a young lady in my team named Diamond, and she said, Angelo, let's set a goal of 25,000 cash flow. Well, by having a 25,000 cash flow, I know that we want to make about $2,000 a month. I can now give her the direction on how to make $2,000 a month. You've got to know what your cash flow goal is. There's not such thing as a big or a good one or a bad one. It's what you want it to be. But once I understand what my cash flow goal is, then I can line up the activity needed to be able to figure out exactly weekly what I got to do to hit my monthly cash flow goal. And so this really zeroes in and really holds you accountable on a weekly basis. The key to this 12-week year is that you've got to have what they call weekly accountability meetings. They call them a WHAM session. And once a week, you've got to report these numbers. You should be in a small group setting, and you should be sharing, hey, this is what my goals were for the week, and this is what I actually did. And I'll tell you, those of us that have implemented this have made a big, big impact on our business. All right. So today, I'm going to spend a little bit, we've got about 15 minutes left, and I'm going to just kind of introduce the subject, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what drives this first number, right? Shante talked a lot about digital, but we've got something new right now. It's something called the How Money Works book, right? And this book was written in conjunction with a best-selling author named Steve Siebold. Here's one of the charts. It says, most Americans don't have enough money saved for retirement. It's no secret that Americans have far too little in retirement. A recent Go Banking Rates survey found that 42.3% of those surveyed have less than $10,000 saved for retirement, including only 13.7% who have saved nothing at all, right? And this poll also found that among those who've been saving for retirement, 6.7% have saved between 10 and 49, 12.6% between 50 and 99, 12% have saved between 100 and 199, 99 they saved between 200 or more, and 16.5 have saved 300 or more. So you can see we've got a major problem. And so this gentleman that had been a vendor of ours for many years, his name is Steve Siebold. You can look him up on the right there. You see his name, Steve Siebold. He wrote many, many books. One of them, many of them were, did well, but he also had a New York Times bestseller. And he really was a vendor of our company for many years. And he wrote a book about our company. And after he wrote a book about our company, it was something that was distributed internally. He fell in love with it and decided that he wanted to actually join. This is a multimillionaire successful, and he wanted to join our business. And after he joined our business, he broke a 6-figure income in less than 3 months. But then he decided, after learning the financial concepts, that he would partner up with one of the biggest leaders that was a founder of our company, Tom Matthews, and they wrote this book called How Money Works. And by leveraging the connections that he had in the media as a best-selling author, now not only has this book gone to market, but this book is now receiving media attention because of who Steve is. And I'm going to give you a quick example of a link that we sent out. This is from Fox News. This is from, is this Fox News? Yes, in Charleston, South Carolina. All right, I'm just going to play just 1 second of this clip of this. If you have your audio, you should be able to hear this.
Thanks for joining us.
Just to give you an idea.
Generations have been taught to make a list for Santa, and those gifts magically appear under the tree on Christmas morning. But do kids realize it took cold, hard cash to make their dreams come true? On this Money Monday, we're focusing on the kiddos. We're happy to have Steve Siebold join us. He's the author of the book, How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So where are you from originally?
I'm from Chicago.
Oh, you are? Okay. But
Too cold, though. Moved to Atlanta.
but you got started in finance writing books, not just this book, but other books as well.
Right. I started interviewing millionaires, self-made millionaires in 1984. Long time ago, 35 years. And I've interviewed 1,319 to date.
That's incredible. What is some of the lessons that you took from interviewing these millionaires?
Well,
any common thread there?
Yeah, mostly their relationship with money. They have a very healthy relationship. And you probably know this with your background in finance. They have a very healthy relationship with money. They see it as opportunity, possibilities, very positive associations, as opposed to the negative associations that most of us are taught in school or that we get through our social structure.
So I hope you guys can, see that and hear that, but that kind of gives you like a window into one thing. But very soon they're going to be on Fox Business, CNBC, Stuart Varney Show, Good Morning America, the Today Show. So there's a big media campaign that is really going to, again, this is something that you can now leverage. This is something that you, as a leader, right, in this business, you can say, look, did you see us on the Today Show? This is just they've done about 50 media interviews already. And this is going to be a very big deal to spread the word. And what's awesome is if you go on Amazon right now and you want to buy this book, it's $16.99. But because it's part of our company, we're able to buy these books at an unbelievably low price of $3. We have over 1,000 books that are arriving this afternoon in our financial center in Illinois. We also have a box that is already arrived in our Florida location that actually will be arriving on Monday. And so we really are going to take this message combined with the media campaign. We're going to go out there and be able to leverage the information, be able to share concepts and ideas to spread the message using this new tool. So this is going to give you credibility that like you've never had before. And I think that, the book is just going to be a door opener. This is just going to be something that you can share with people. So next week, we're going to dedicate almost the entire call, the webinar on Friday, the entire call. We're going to go through some scripts on what to use, different things to say, what you want to utilize when you're using the book, because I think that it's really important that you understand that you don't want to just get a book and just start, throwing books out there at people. It's important that if you're going to utilize a book, that you do the right things. And a lot of us have utilized books in the past. The other books that we've utilized in the past were very effective at telling our story. They were very effective at getting people interested in what we had to say. But one of the things that's important for you to realize is that, if you just go out there and you give somebody a book, but you don't, create any proper context. I'll give you a perfect example. All right. You have to understand that this is the first book on money that people need. You have to understand why people need this book. You want to give them some specific direction. To say, not just hand them a book because they're not going to read the whole thing. You've got to let them know, why you like the book. What was specific that got you excited? So these are some of the things that you see here. We're going to get into next week. But right now, what I want you to understand is the books are going to be in later today. Like I said, they may even already be at the office. I know that Jeff's coming in to get that handled for us. And we're really super excited about having a kind of a mainstream piece that we can utilize to help people understand how money works, right? And this is something that, it's just going to give you a different, a different level of credibility, because it's one thing to be in business for yourself, but now to be able to share with these members or these prospects that you're talking to, that you're affiliated with a best-selling author, the specific things that you took away from it, being able to point to a media campaign, and then all of the other wonderful tools that we already have to offer. Listen, we've got a story to tell that no one in the industry has. And we have got some really, really amazing tools. And I'll tell you, this is the best tool I've ever seen. And again, we've had it in the past, but the past books that we've used, they didn't have the ability to go into the mainstream media. And that's why I think this is the book to another level, and why I think it's going to work so successfully.